Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Today we'll be reading from Surah Sad, inshallah, and we are up to verse 41. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Prophet Job, Ayyub alayhi salam, verse 41. And remember our servant Job when he cried out to his Lord, Satan has afflicted me with distress and suffering. We responded, stomp your foot. Now here is a cool and refreshing spring for washing and drinking. And we gave him back his family twice as many as a mercy from us and a lesson for people of reason. And we said to him, take in your hand a bundle of grass and strike your wife with it, and do not break your oath. We truly found him patient. What an excellent servant he was. Indeed, he constantly turned to Allah. Let's have a look at the footnote. Job was afflicted with losing his children, community, and with a long illness. Only his wife stayed with him. He once became angry with his wife and vowed to give her 100 lashes if he recovered. When Job's affliction was lifted, he became remorseful at what he had said. To help Job fulfill his vow without harming his wife, Allah ordered him to strike her with a bundle of 100 blades of grass. So this is the most detailed story from the Quran about Ayyub alayhi salam. He gets afflicted with three big things, which is, I think, a summary of things that you could get afflicted with: family, loss of wealth, and illnesses, and not easy illnesses either, like very severe, very difficult. And yet the Quran talks about him as what does it say in Arabic? It says innahu awwab, like he was still a person, obviously a prophet, who would go back often to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who would turn back to him despite all those difficulties. Okay, so moving on to verse number 45. Are the mighty prophets, and remember our servants Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the man of strength and insight. We truly chose them for the honor of proclaiming the hereafter. And in our sight they are truly among the chosen and the finest. Also remember Ishmael, Elisha, and Zulkifl, all are among the best. I'm just going to have a look at the scholars are in disagreement as to whether Zulkifl was a prophet or just a righteous man. And this also goes with Zulqarnain, for example, in the Quran. Khidr, to the prophethood is not confirmed, but they're known to be at least righteous servants of Allah. Reward of the righteous. This is all a reminder, and the righteous will certainly have an honorable destination, the gardens of eternity, whose gates will be open for them. There they will recline, calling for abundant fruit and drink, and with them will be maidens of modest gaze and equal age. This is what you are promised for the day of reckoning. This is indeed a provision that will never end. Reward of the wicked. That is that, and the transgressors will certainly have the worst destination, hell, where they will burn. What an evil place to rest. Let them then taste this boiling water and oozing pus and other torments of the same sort. Disputes of the wicked. The misleaders will say to one another, here is a crowd of followers being thrown in with us. They're not welcome, for they too will burn in the fire. The followers will respond, no, you are not welcome. You brought this upon us. What an evil place for settlement. Adding, our Lord, whoever brought this upon us, double their punishment in the fire. The tyrants will ask one another, but why do we not see those we consider to be lowly? Were we wrong in mocking them in the world, or do our eyes just fail to see them in the fire? This dispute between the residents of the fire will certainly come to pass. Did we underestimate them? Yeah. The messenger and his message. Say, O Prophet, I'm only a warner, and there's no God worthy of worship except Allah, the One, the Supreme. He is the Lord of the heavens and the earth, and everything in between, the Almighty, most forgiving. Say, this Quran is momentous news from which you pagans are turning away. And say, I had no knowledge of the highest assembly in heaven when they differed concerning Adam. What is revealed to me is that I'm only sent with a clear warning. When the angels obeyed Allah's orders to prostrate before Adam, whereas Satan refused to comply. The beginning verse of Surah Baqarah talks about this. Satan's arrogance. Remember, O Prophet, when your Lord said to the angels, I'm going to create a human being from clay. So when I have fashioned him and had a spirit of my own creation breathed into him, fall down in prostration to him. So the angels prostrated all together, but not Iblis, who acted arrogantly, becoming unfaithful. Allah asked, O Iblis, what prevented you from prostrating to what I created with my own hands? Did you just become proud, or have you always been arrogant? He replied, I'm better than he is. You created me from fire and him from clay. Allah commanded, then get out of paradise, for you are truly cursed, and surely upon you is my condemnation until the day of judgment. Satan appealed, my Lord, then delay my end until the day of their resurrection. Allah said, you will be delayed until the appointed day. Satan said, by your glory, I will certainly mislead them all, except your chosen servants among them. Allah concluded, the truth is, and I only say the truth, I will surely fill up hell with you and whoever follows you from among them altogether. So this is another, Sheikh Yusuf, way, I guess the story is retold. I just had mentioned that it was told at the start of Surah Baqarah. But it does also talk about arrogancy. I don't recall it being mentioned in those verses. I'm not sure if you recall, Sheikh Yusuf. Maybe we could have a revisit as well. But
what that
as an addition to the story that is told
the arrogance of Iblis.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it mentions it. استخبر وكان من الكافرين.
Yeah.
Same, almost the same line.
Is
Same
it?
line.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Message to the deniers. Say, O Prophet, I do not ask you for any reward for this Quran, nor do I pretend to be someone I'm not. It is only a reminder to the whole world, and you will certainly know its truth before long. Okay, so that wraps up Surah Sad. So we'll move on to Surah Zumar, inshallah, the successive groups.
So here it says, then behold, we said to the angels, bow your faces down to receive Adam into life and to honor him. So they all bowed down except Iblis. He refused and grew greatly arrogant, and thus did he become of the rebellious disbelievers. فسجدوا إلى إبليس أبى واستكبر وكان من الكافرين. Same, and then here it says, فسجد, here gives you the detail of who it was. فسجد الملائكة كلهم أجمعون. And then it says all of them completely. You know, and then that أجمعون gives you that sense that nobody differed, and then the exception to the rule comes. إلا إبليس استكبر وكان من الكافرين. And then it's the discussion comes up as to why it is that Iblis made his case, as to why did he defy their order to bow down.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure one of the things, like Corpus Quran. Are you familiar with Corpus Quran?
No.
Corpus Quran, Corpus, Quran is a
Mm.
website. And if you were to put, it's English Arabic. So if you were to type the word Iblis
Mm-hmm.
in the search engine for the website, then it would retrieve the term Iblis in the Quran and show you the ayat and bring them together. So it would be interesting to kind of see, to bring those ayat together, the different places,
Mm. And that's
especially
all in English?
pardon.
That's all in English, Sheikh Yusuf?
Yeah, it comes up in both English and Arabic. It's
Okay.
an amazing web page from that end.
Okay, inshallah. Yeah, that's something I think worth checking out for those online as well, inshallah.
It's called Corpus Quran, Corpus.
Inshallah. Surah Az-Zumar, successive groups. This Meccan surah builds on the story of the creation of Adam in the previous surah by referring to the creation of Adam's spouse and how their descendants were created in the womb, developing in successive stages. Some of those descendants choose to be faithful and grateful to their creator, while others choose not to. Eventually, following a fair judgment, the former will be led to their places in paradise, and the latter to their places in hell, each in successive groups. Hence the surah's name. Allah's willingness to forgive sins is highly emphasized in the last part of this surah and the beginning of the next. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Worship Allah alone. The revelation of this book is from Allah, the Almighty, All-Wise. Indeed, we have sent down the book to you, O Prophet, in truth. So worship Allah alone, being sincerely devoted to Him. Indeed, sincere devotion is due only to Allah. As for those who take other lords besides Him, saying, we worship them only so they may bring us closer to Allah, surely Allah will judge between all regarding what they differed about. Allah certainly does not guide whoever persists in lying and disbelief. Allah's power of creation. Had it been Allah's will to have offspring, He could have chosen whatever He willed of His creation. Glory be to Him. He is Allah, the One, the Supreme. He created the heavens and the earth for a purpose. He wraps the night around the day and wraps the day around the night. He wraps the night around the day and wraps the day around the night. And He has subjected the sun and the moon, each orbiting for an appointed term. He is truly the Almighty, most forgiving. We're up to verse 6, Ustaz Sadaq, in Surah Zumar. He created you all from a single soul. Then from it He made its mate. And He produced for you 4 pairs of cattle. He creates you in the wombs of your mothers in stages, one development after another in 3 layers of darkness. There is Allah, your Lord. All authority belongs to Him. There is no God worthy of worship except Him. How can you then be turned away?
The bit about how did you read the night being wrapped into the day?
He wraps the night around the day and wraps the day around the night.
The word kurriya, some have said that it may allude to the roundness of the earth. Allahu Akbar.
These 4 pairs of cattle, the 4 pairs, males and females, is this are a pair of sheep, goat, camel, and oxen. These 3 layers of darkness is the belly, the womb, and the amniotic. Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Even that's been referred to as another scientific miracle of the Quran. Sometimes with the scientific miracles, I think the best way is to take the middle path. Some go out of their extreme lengths to pull out a miracle, and then they bound the Quran to that miracle. But the problem with that is sometimes science changes, so we shouldn't be too. But other people go to the other extreme end and they totally deny miracles. There's no need for that. Sometimes the Quran has miracles, historical miracles. It predicted the Battle of Rome and all that. So I think the best way is خذ ما استفاد ما قدر, you know. Allahu Alam.
There's a lot of debate on that, though, from the angle of minhaj methodology. The problem with was claimed to be that the issue is that al-i'jaz al-ilmi, a miracle has the concept of a miracle or al-mu'jiza has been used to be like a proof in in Islamic theology and philosophy. The problem with the i'jaz al-ilmi is that it's not a proof for the soundness of the Quran. So the Quran stands independent of it as being a proof. So those people that have made it, well, like, look, you know, the Quran talks about this, so it's true because this scientific point, you know, mentions this. The ulama have mentioned that that's erroneous. It's erroneous to try to prove the Quran to be true by something that is a knowledge which is dhanni. It's not qat'i in many cases. So that's where the i'jaz al-ilmi comes in at, and it becomes like a problem, and then you're forced to make some sort of ta'weed. You're forced to make some sort of interpretation to account for a change, and even changing the knowledge. Even I mentioned Kampaji. Kampaji is a Shi'i scholar. One of my teachers had went to the extent of calling him a mulhid, because Kampaji, he has a series of discussions in which he even says that the Quran contradicts science and logic, and so that he trekked that path of basically of the philosophers to a certain extent, and you run into a lot of issues. So I think that it has become popular, or it was more popular, we can say, the i'jaz al-ilmi. I think from the angle of proving science, that the Quran has scientific facts, it was popular at one point in time. But I think that we have to look at the methodological side and show how it is that there's principles to it. So some of the scholars wrote on dawabit, what are some of the control features and mechanisms that should be in place when we're going to use that type of research.
Yeah, thank you, Imam Yusuf. I guess the important thing is that we don't base our iman on these scientific proofs. It could be part of strengthening iman, perhaps. But
yeah, and what he said, don't make qat'i like it's absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
right.
it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ustaz Ahmed.
What did he say? What did you say, Dr. Saad?
Like, don't make don't say this verse absolutely means this scientific miracle with certainty, where that connection is a bit not 100%.
Yeah, there's no doubt that it's amazing.
But like Sheikh Yusuf, like you said, the scholars have had a bit of a debate, so it's a bit of a complex topic. But there's a lot of literature both ways.
There's no doubt that it's amazing, but the criteria is that you can't say that the Quran is true because of this scientific point. That's erroneous. That's not acceptable. Nobody is going to go to that level, and actually it can lead us into some situations, some serious situations. But it's amazing. There's no doubt that it's amazing when you look at the formation of the embryo and the details and so on and so forth. It's amazing. But then when you get into issues where, for instance, the same thing happens in hadith, when the issue of the sun is described as making sujood. So then when you get into the issue of reconciling, well, how is it could be if the earth is flat and the sun is making sujood? That would mean that you're saying it makes sujood when it goes down. This contradicts science. And then you get into the whole business of having to throw out text or having to interpret them. Whereas the methodology should be brought out. I think that needs a class.
It's a separate discussion. Yeah.
Inshallah. Belief and disbelief. If you disbelieve, then know that Allah is truly not in need of you, nor does He approve of disbelief from His servants. But if you become grateful through faith, He will appreciate that from you. No soul burdened with sin will bear the burden of another. Then to your Lord is your return, and He will inform you of what you used to do. He certainly knows best what is hidden in the heart.
You know, this word is very important, sorry, Ustaz Ahmed, that Allah is not pleased with kufr. Everything that happens in the universe is with the mashiyat of Allah, His will and His irada, even the evil that exists. However, with kufr, the wording, وَلَا يَرْضَى لِعِبَادِهِ الْكُفْرَ. So Allah can will something to happen, He allows it to happen, His mashiyat allows it to take place, but it doesn't mean He's pleased with it. The trick is, I've noticed some people, because they use the word Allah willed this. Yes, Allah wills everything that takes place. They understand that to mean, oh, Allah arada hadha, Allah wanted this, but that want should not be understood as He is pleased with that. He can will many things, like kufr takes place, but He's not pleased with it. But if you
I think that
Allah,
I think that that's. I think I'm sorry to cut you off. I apologize about that. I think that point, Ustaz Ahmed, I know that we're pressed for time, but to be honest with you, I think that you need to pause on that and clarify it a little more, because a lot of people begin to have doubt with the whole issue of evil in the world, you know, and that's something that's important for people to understand, because like even I've seen, even in my own local community, with the Palestinian situation and the amount of death, people have gone immediately and started questioning Allah. How could Allah allow this to happen? You know, so on and so forth. And if God is so just, and you begin to, and that's, in Western thought, the idea of theodicy, theodicy is where that comes up. So I think that you should pause for a moment and clarify that from an Aqidah perspective again. Make sure that everybody is clear in that. And I would request that anyone who has an issue with that you write that in the group. I want further clarity. Because we don't want anybody leaving. We don't want anybody leaving from this, and we were in the session and we could have clarified something for them, and it becomes a major obstacle in their faith.
Yeah. Yeah, Aqidah is good and evil. It all exists with Allah's will and predestination. Khayrihi wa sharrihi. But with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything happens with His will, but even things that He's not pleased with. Things that, like we can say in English, that angers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because out of His hikmah, He's given free choice to human beings. When they do wrong, this world is a world of trial. They're allowed to do wrong. And then the next world is when really everything takes place according to absolute justice and absolute. But things can take place in this world that Allah is not pleased with. No.
And the Sharia, the role of the Sharia in that is to clarify what's pleasing to Allah.
That's right. That's right.
And anyone can, as Imam Yusuf said, can put their question in the group, inshallah, and we'll try to get to it if there's any further questions. Disbelievers' ingratitude. When one is touched with hardship, they cry out to their Lord, turning to Him alone. But as soon as He showers them with blessings from Him, they totally forget the one they had cried to earlier and set up equals to Allah to mislead others from His way. Say, O Prophet, enjoy your disbelief for a little while. You will certainly be one of the inmates of the fire. Are they better, or those who worship their Lord devoutly in the hours of the night, prostrating and standing, fearing the hereafter and hoping for the mercy of their Lord? Say, O Prophet, are those who know equal to those who do not know? None will be mindful of this except people of reason.
SubhanAllah, this verse gets quoted a lot. It shows the level of the sharaf and honor that Allah gives to people who know. But as Imam Ghazali very carefully highlights, the beginning of the verse is forgotten. It's not just any knowledgeable people. They're people who are standing up at night in prayer, sajidan wa qa'iman, fearful of the hereafter, wishing for Allah's mercy. So if that spirituality is not connected with that knowledge, then it's not under the category of هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون. Allah alam. Just with verse number 8, it says they set up partners with Allah to misguide people from His way. I think that's how Dr. Ustaz Mustafa Khattab has translated it. Another translation is and put up rivals to Allah only to misguide from His path. And the subtle difference is this: the li in Arabic, which is so that, it can be for sababiyya, as a causal thing, or it can just be because that's the result that takes place without that causal thing being intended. So both type of meanings can coexist, and the tafsirs perhaps can go into the detail of that.
Orders to the Prophet. Say, O Prophet, that Allah says, O my servants who believe, be mindful of your Lord. Those who do good in this world will have a good reward, and Allah's earth is spacious. Only those who endure patiently will be given their reward without limit. Say, I am commanded to worship Allah, being sincerely devoted to Him alone, and I am commanded to be the first of those who submit to His will. Say, I truly fear if I were to disobey my Lord, the torment of a tremendous day. Say, it is only Allah that I worship, being sincere in my devotion to Him. Worship then whatever gods you want instead of Him. Say, the true losers are those who will lose themselves and their families on Judgment Day. That is indeed the clearest loss. They will have layers of fire above and below them. That is what Allah warns His servants with. So fear me, O my servants. The faithful.
Here, let me ask you a question. You said the ayat, the last ayat, fear me, O my servants. So fear me, O my servants. How do you have that translated over there in Sheikh No's translation?
Which verse?
16 towards the end piece.
Okay. والذين اجتنبوا الطاغوت أن يعبدوها أنا أبو فبشر. No, this is give glad tidings. يا عبادي فاتقون. I'm 16 at the end. Well, my servants, fear me. But I think Sheikh Mustafa Khattab usually puts, this time he put fear me. I think that's the first time I've seen him use the word fear. He usually says, be mindful of me, right?
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. Like, because here it says, okay, so then the contradiction that we run into is that the ayah says, ذَلِكَ يُخَوِّفُ اللَّهُ بِهِ عِبَادَهُ. Right? So, al-khawf, how can al-khawf be fear? And then at the end it says, يَا عِبَادِي فَاتَّقُونَ.
You're saying for both words the word fear is being used, but it shouldn't be. You're saying, is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, that's what I was asking. What does Sheikh No say?
He says that is what Allah strikes fear into His servants.
Okay, that's the first.
With ... O my servants, fear you me. So it's like He strikes fear into the hearts of the servants with this phrase, Ya ibadi fattaqun.
And what do you have, Ahmed, Ustad Ahmed?
Is here Mustafa Khattab or?
Yeah, weren't you using the study Quran?
I have, but I mean, it's a bit hard to follow from my end when I'm reading, so but I can have a look inshallah.
I found they killed the nuance there. Is it possible for me to believe that the Quran is saying the same thing with two different words? And taqwa has much more of a meaning. I get the idea of what they're saying, but taqwa has the meaning of caring for yourself, defending yourself. Taqwa of Allah is that you're looking after your best interests and you're defending yourself. There's waqaya. You're taking the measures to protect yourself. So in the first, yes, Allah is striking fear. So then protect yourself from from that which is fearful. You know what I'm saying? But what meaning do you get from that? If what meaning do you get from this? Be you indeed fearful of me. No, it says it is with this that God instills fear in His servants. O my servants, be ye indeed fearful of me.
Yeah,
We'll have to take that discussion.
inshallah. It says reverence me. I just had a look at in the
I believe that that's a better translation there.
Mm.
That's a better translation, to be honest with you, because it's like the fear. Yes, we're struck with the fear. So then, why would Allah want us to continue to? Allah wants us to be in a good position with Him, not just to be. Because the reason why this comes up is because the whole question that you brought up, Dr. Sadiq, the issue of how do you explain evil in the world. So then it's like we're giving this image of just like here become just terror ridden, where there's a sense of targhib and tarhib. It's not just terror or just not that we're awestruck and that we're fearful, although we should also have hope. The two things come together. The idea of warning us and scaring the heck out of us, or scaring the hell out of us, literally, right? Scaring hell out of us is so that we come into the mercy of Allah. It's not so that we stay to the point where we're incapacitated. It's so that we wake up and we say, "No, hold on a second. We're really down the wrong path at this point. We're really contradicting all of our well-being, and we're actually depriving ourselves of all of the good. Wake up, and go to the other side." That's Allahu A'lam. I apologize for taking.
No, I like that. Scare the hell out of us, literally.
Sorry.
Scare the Jannah into us, inshallah.
The faithful and the unfaithful, and those who shun the worship of false gods, turning to Allah alone, will have good news. So give good news to my servants, O Prophet, those who listen to what is said and follow the best of it. These are the ones rightly guided by Allah, and these are truly the people of reason. What about those against whom the decree of torment has been justified? Is it you, O Prophet, who will then save those bound for the fire? But those mindful of their Lord will have elevated mansions, built one above the other, under which rivers flow. There is the promise of Allah, and Allah never fails in His promise.
This is a very important sentence. الَّذِينَ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقَوْلَ فَيَتَّبِعُونَ أَحْسَنَ. Those who listen to the word and follow the best of it. Although some have used this verse to justify particular legal principles, particularly istihsan, when there's conflicting evidences, you choose the one that's for the maslaha. But in the spirit of the verse, it's, there's many things in the Sharia. There's the harder option sometimes, azima, and there's the rukhsa, to take sometimes the azima, or when you have an option of taking revenge or forgiving, choosing forgiveness. Allah saying that spiritual elite are those who always take the better option, the ahsana. They're both perhaps available, but they follow the better one. Sometimes it's good not to restrict it to just the legal meaning. This is what some of the notes I have here is mentioned. Allahu Alam. No.
Parable for this fleeting life. Do you not see that Allah sends down rain from the sky, channeling it through streams in the earth, then produces with it crops of various colors? Then they dry up and you see them wither, and then He reduces them to chaff. Surely in this is a reminder for people of reason. The believers and the disbelievers. Can the misguided be like those whose hearts Allah has opened to Islam, so they are enlightened by their Lord? So woe to those whose hearts are hardened at the remembrance of Allah. It is they who are clearly astray. Excellence of the Quran. It is Allah who has sent down the best message, a book of perfect consistency and repeated lessons, which causes the skin and heart of those who fear their Lord to tremble, then their skin and hearts soften at the mention of the mercy of Allah. That is the guidance of Allah through which He
Can you read that part again?
It is Allah who has sent down the best message, a book of perfect consistency and repeated lessons, which causes the skin and hearts of those who fear their Lord to tremble, then their skin and hearts soften at the mention of the mercy of Allah. There is the guidance of Allah through which He guides whoever He wills. But whoever Allah leaves to stray will be left with no guide. Are those who will only have their bare faces to shield themselves from the awful torment of Judgment Day better than those in paradise? It will then be said to the wrongdoers, reap what you sowed.
Very spiritual verses. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should make dua that Allah saves us from having qasiyat qulubuhum.
I think, Sheikh Yusuf, what you were just referring to above, from that fear should come another state. I think that's what you were referring to. But here, like their hearts tremble first and then soften, like it kind of leads you, and at the mention of the mercy of Allah, it goes from one state perhaps to another state, or if you could say hal, perhaps it could be a better.
Yeah, I think the hal is nice.
Yeah,
it's interesting, but it says the skin soften and
yeah,
the heart.
that's what drew my attention.
I've got a note here. It says some of the Ahlullah, Allahu Alam, have said sometimes when you make dua, you can feel something descend on you, as if they feel it. Allahu Alam.
As if the skin becomes a medium to pick up on another, like a spiritual dimension. Would that be too much of a stretch to see?
Allahu Alam.
Or maybe some literally physical effect, as I think so.
It starts with taqsha'irru.
The translation that what did you say?
Taqsha'irru. A lot of hard letters in one word. You can just tell the skin doesn't, or the heart doesn't. The skin doesn't. What is it? The skin.
Here says that the recitation of its forewarning, the very skins of those who venerate their Lord shiver. Sometimes when fear comes into you, your hairs rise up on your skin. Have you ever had that experience?
Yeah.
You kind of feel like your hairs come up in your skin.
Yeah.
Then their skins and their hearts soften at the remembrance. That I mean, we can pause. I think we should, in the group, we should look that up. I think that's something worthy.
All the brothers and sisters that want to raise this up in the group, Sheikh Yusuf is promising he will engage in that discussion anytime in the next 24 hours, night or day.
But
also, it says Kitaban mutashabihan mathani. I don't know if the translations quote that. It's my first time noticing it too.
What?
Mutashabihan mathani. Where that is the guidance. I don't know where Ustaz Ahmed. Oh yeah. Can you go a bit higher? Verse 23.
Yeah, it's 23. 23.
A book of perfect consistency and repeated lessons. I don't know where the word mutashabi is caught in that. Anyway, let's maybe keep moving.
It says, it is God alone who has sent down this Quran as the fairest of all discourse. It is a heavenly book of coherent beauty, command and consistency, oft repeated.
Yeah, the mathani refers to oft repeated, right?
Yes.
وَلَقَدْ أَتَيْنَاكَ سَبْعًا مِنَ الْمَثَانِي وَالْقُرْآنِ الْعَظِيمِ. But mutashabihan mathani, maybe that's where the word consistency comes from. They've interpreted it as consistency.
Yeah, here it's translated as consimilar, paired. So, yeah. Okay. All right, inshallah. Rejection leads to punishment. Those before them also rejected the truth, then the torment came upon them from where they least expected. So Allah made them taste humiliation in this worldly life, but far worse is the punishment of the hereafter if only they knew. Perfection of the Quran. We have certainly set forth every kind of lesson for people in this Quran, so perhaps they will be mindful. It is a Quran revealed in Arabic without any crookedness, so perhaps they will be conscious of Allah. Parable for a polytheist and monotheist. Allah sets forth the parable of a slave owned by several quarrelsome masters and a slave owned by only one master. Are they equal in condition? Praise be to Allah. In fact, most of them do not know. Yeah. Okay. All will die. You, O Prophet, will certainly die, and they will die too. Then on the day of judgment, you will all settle your dispute before your Lord. Was this the verse that Abu Bakr radiallahu anh recites when after the Prophet passes away?
No, that's
This was another one.
In Surah Imran, that if the Prophet dies, would you turn back on your heels? I think it's that one.
Okay.
Allahu Alam.
Reward of the believers and disbelievers. Who then does more wrong than those who lie about Allah and reject the truth after it has reached them? Is hell not a fitting home for the disbelievers? And the one who has brought the truth and those who embrace it, it is they who are the righteous. They will have whatever they desire with their Lord. That is the reward of the good doers. As such, Allah will absolve them of even the worst of what they did and reward them according to the best of what they used to do.
One of the most beautiful descriptions. The worst of what you've done, your most ugly deeds, will be forgiven, and then you'll be rewarded according to the best of your deeds, which probably may happen just a few times in your life. Whereas in another verse it says, if I'm not mistaken, those going to hellfire, they'll be punished for the worst of their deeds. And in Surah Furqan, for those who make true tawbah, Allah changes the bad deeds. Yubaddilullahu al-hassiyat hasanat, changes into good deeds. These are very psychologically relieving verses and hopeful verses. When it says وَصَدَّقَ بِهِ, you can say from an ishari tafsir, it's very clear, it's sort of pointing Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. I say ishari tafsir, I'm not saying literally. بالصدق.
I think the hadith of the Prophet where he says, my intercession on Day of Judgment is for the people who have major sins, right? Which I think if kind of comes in complement to the verse. Allah protects His messenger. Is Allah not sufficient for His servant? Yet they threaten you with other powerless gods besides Him. Whoever Allah leaves astray will be left with no guide, and whoever Allah guides, none can lead astray. Is Allah not Almighty, capable of punishment? Almighty Allah, or powerless gods. If you ask them, a prophet, who created the heavens and the earth, they will certainly say Allah. Ask them, consider then whatever idols you invoke besides Allah. If it was Allah's will to harm me, could they undo that harm? Or if He willed some mercy for me, could they withhold His mercy? Say, Allah is sufficient for me. In Him alone the faithful put their trust. Warning to the pagans. Say, O Prophet, O my people, persist in your ways, for I too will persist in mine. You will soon come to know who will be visited by a humiliating torment in this life and overwhelmed by an everlasting punishment in the next.
Here, اعملوا على مكانتكم in 39. Say, my people, work on for ill as hard as you are stubbornly set to. Other verses says you work and I work, but this one, because of that ala makanatikum, I think that's trying to be emphasized here in the translation. Allahu Alam.
Free choice. Surely we have revealed to you the book of O Prophet with the truth for humanity. So whoever chooses to be guided, it is for their own good. And whoever chooses to stray, it is only their own loss. You are not a keeper over them. sleep, the twin brother of death. It
You
is Allah.
you see the consistency in that with the issue also, what you were mentioning Dr. Sadiq about Mashiatillah, how this ayat comes in, the issue of Allah not being pleased with evil, and the issue of choice. I think Quran does the best job of dealing with the issue of human responsibility and the qadr of Allah. When you go into the books of ilm al-kalam, usually they parse out the Quran, and each school takes its position, and they kind of are arguing within those within that polarized framework that they have. But the Quran has it it's kind of like a paradox, and it juxtaposes both of them together. In that regard, I think it's important to stay consistently with the Quranic meanings, where you see that both realities exist together, or else it just becomes that you start questioning whether there's free will.
So verse number 42, it is Allah who calls back the souls of people upon their death, as well as the souls of the living during their sleep. Then he keeps those for whom he has ordained death, and releases the others until their appointed time. Surely in this are signs for people who reflect.
And it's good thing if you put these two ayat together, forgive me, brothers, for testing your patience, and sisters. But if you put these ayat together, what's the difference between the two of them? One is talking about what, and the other one is talking about what?
He's saying sleep and death.
So the ayat 42 is talking about what, and ayat 41 is talking about what? And how is it that they don't contradict each other? How is it that they complement each other?
Tell us, Imam Yusuf, inshallah.
Yeah, I hate to tell people things. So the reflection point 42 talks about the sunnah of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. The sunnah the sunnah of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala governing the creation. 41 is talking about the human being following guidance. So the human being is governed by both realities, because our bodies are governed by the sunnah of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. But we're responsible for our choice. We don't say it's absolute. We know that it has its limitations, but it exists. And even when you talk about we were talking about the scientific miracles and all this type of stuff, bringing in other disciplines. In physics now, there's room for free will. There's some arguments being thrown around in physics now that kind of can explain some possibility of free will. But the point here is that you see that the two ayat, one is talking about our moral responsibility in our choices, going back to our intentions. And then the other one is talking about how there's a process in place that's beyond that. And it's true. All of us are born, we die. We don't have any choice over that process. We don't have any choice over the aging process. We don't have any choice, over the sickness and health at some level. So there's some rules that are in place that are bigger than us, that govern all of humanity, all of the creation. But what the human being is responsible for here is the ethical path. The ethical path. Right? And both paths, the non-ethical and the ethical, are put before the human being. The minimum that we do is we can intend. But but the religion is not just left at the issue of intention of the heart. We're obligated to act as well. So if we're obligated to act, and Allah is telling us that we have the ability to act, we should believe in that. There's no contradiction with Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala being all powerful. It's just that it's, like the ulama of hadith used to say, al-qadr huwa sirullah fil kawn. It's one of the secrets of Allah in the universe, how that works. Allah knows best.
Thank you, Imam Yusuf. Allah or the idols, or have they taken others besides Allah as intercessors? Say, O Prophet, would they do so even though those idols have neither authority nor intelligence? Say, all intercession belongs to Allah alone. To Him belongs the kingdom of the heavens and the earth. Then to Him you will all be returned. Yet when Allah alone is mentioned, the hearts of those who disbelieve in the hereafter are filled with disgust. But as soon as those gods other than Him are mentioned, they are filled with joy. Allah is the judge. Say, O Prophet, O Allah, originator of the heavens and the earth, knower of the seen and the unseen, you will judge between your servants regarding their differences. Even if the wrongdoers were to possess everything in the world twice over, they would certainly offer it to ransom themselves from the horrible punishment of Judgment Day, for they will see from Allah what they had never expected. And the evil consequences of their deeds will unfold before them, and they will be overwhelmed by what they used to ridicule.
Sayyidina Urwa ibn Zubayr narrates, I came into the house of my aunt Aisha radiallahu anha, and I saw her praying, and she was reciting this verse and crying. And then he knew that she would take a long time. So he goes, I went to the shops, did some shopping, came back, and she was still reciting this verse and crying. And it just shows to you the way the Sahaba used to have a special connection with these verses. We sometimes just read them and, but it says, because it's saying they'll give everything for ransom, but it says when they're plainly shown from Allah what they never considered, and the ill deeds of all they earned appear starkly plain before them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Allahumma ighfir lana. Again, just with the translation, Mustafa Khattab, I think someone messaged me that said he's perhaps doing it for English reasons. The seen and the unseen. It sounds a bit more. That's more the common usage in English. But as we know, verse 46, it says the unseen and the seen. In the Quran, always the ghaib is mentioned before the shahada. Alimul ghaibi wa shahada. Now, we point these things out not because we're trying to point out mistakes or, sometimes he's probably considered these things and doing it for a particular reason, but just to highlight some of the uniqueness of the Arabic. Yeah.
Human ingratitude. When one is touched with hardship, they cry out to us alone. Then when we shower our blessings upon them, they say, I have been granted all this only because of my knowledge. Not at all. It is no more than a test, but most of them do not know. The same had already been said by those destroyed before them, but their worldly gains were of no benefit to them. So the evil consequence of their deeds overtook them, and the wrongdoers among these pagans will be overtaken by the evil consequences of their deeds, and they will have no escape. Do they not know that Allah gives abundant or limited provisions to whoever He wills? Surely in this are signs for people who believe.
Yeah, I was given this on my knowledge. That's what the ungrateful human says. When Allah gives him a ni'mah, like Qarun said, Utituhu ala ilmin. To think that you deserve something or you work hard and you deserve it, it's a bit of a dangerous type of thinking pattern.
And wealth itself is not a measure of, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being pleased with you or not. It's how you dispose of it.
Yeah, I mean, to be very honest, sometimes people with very little IQs are very rich sometimes. And sometimes people with very intelligence are sometimes very poor. Like one scholar said, the fox is very intelligent, but it's skinny. Whereas other animals that are less intelligent, they're quite chubby. Rizq is not dependent on anyone's intelligence or anything. You're right, but they think it's due to their intelligence.
Allah forgives all sins. Say, O Prophet, that Allah says, O my servants who have exceeded the limits against their souls, do not lose hope in Allah's mercy, for Allah certainly forgives all sins. He is indeed the all-forgiving, most merciful. Turn to your Lord in repentance and fully submit to Him before the punishment reaches you, for then you will not be helped. Follow the Quran, the best of what has been revealed to you from your Lord, before the punishment takes you by surprise while you are unaware, so that no sinful soul will say on the judgment day, "Woe to me for neglecting my duties towards Allah while ridiculing the truth." Or a soul will say, "If only Allah had guided me, I would have certainly been one of the righteous." Or say upon seeing the torment, "If only I had a second chance, I would have been one of the good doers." Not at all. My revelations had already come to you, but you rejected them and acted arrogantly and were one of the disbelievers.
Yeah, وَاتَّبِعُوا أَحْسَنَ مَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكُمْ. I like here in Quran Beheld, it says 55, and wholeheartedly follow the highest of that which your Lord has sent down on you. Again, similar to the other verse, the best. We should always be looking for what's the best options. Unfortunately, sometimes the type of Islam that we live, I see around us common in the West, is all the questions that we're asking for is looking for the rukhsa, the easiest option, the exceptions. Of course, there are times there's difficulty, but just like when you go to the gym, you ask for the type of regimen or practice that gets you stronger and better, not the least that you can just get away with. Now, maybe we're short in time, Ustaz Ahmed, we'll keep it.
Judgment Day. On the Day of Judgment, you will see those who lie about Allah with their faces gloomy. Is hell not a fitting home for the arrogant? And Allah will deliver those who were mindful of Him to their place of ultimate triumph. No evil will touch them, nor will they grieve. Allah is the creator of all things, and He is the maintainer of everything. To Him belong the keys of the treasuries of the heavens and the earth. As for those who rejected the signs of Allah, it is they who will be the true losers. One God alone. Say, O Prophet, are you urging...
This verse, sorry, so it keeps mentioning مَثْوَى لِلْمُتَكَبِّرِينَ, that it's a final abode for those with arrogance. This is another thing that shocks me, the amount of times kibir and arrogance is used, is highlighted in the Quran as the root cause of many things. The shaitan's fall, going to hellfire. Perhaps it could be myself, just me. I overlook this disease of the heart, or maybe even others as well. We often overlook this.
This sort of seems to have a special place for that.
Yeah, it's all about the heart, the different states. Yeah.
This sort of is like this sort of is definitely impacted me a different way this year. You know, it does have, you know.
No.
Especially with the presence of the hellfire is mentioned very, strongly.
One God alone. Say, O Prophet, are you urging me to worship anyone other than Allah, or ignorant ones? It has already been revealed to you and to those prophets before you that if you associate others with Allah, your deeds will certainly be void and you will truly be one of the losers. Rather, worship Allah alone and be one of the grateful. Beginning of the end. They have not shown Allah His proper reverence when on the Day of Judgment the whole earth will be in His grip and the heavens will be rolled up in His right hand. Glorified and exalted is He above what they associate with Him. The trumpet will be blown and all those in the heavens and all those on the earth will fall dead except those Allah wills to spare. Then it will be blown again and they will rise up at once, looking on in anticipation.
Apparently, it's narrated our Prophet was reciting this verse, and it's showing Allah's Jalal attributes. And the mimbar that he was standing on started shaking, and the congregation witnessed this. وَمَا قَدَرُ اللَّهَ حَقَّ قَدْرِهِ وَالْأَرْضُ جَمِيعًا قَبْضَتُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَالسَّمَاوَاتُ مَطْوِيَّاتٌ بِيَمِينِهِ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى عَمَّا يُشْرِكُونَ.
Divine justice. The earth will shine with the light of its Lord. The record of deeds will be laid open. The prophets and the witnesses will be brought forward. And judgment will be passed on all with fairness. None will be wronged. Every soul will be paid in full for its deeds, for Allah knows best what they have done. Reward of the wicked. Those who disbelieved will be driven to hell in successive groups. When they arrive there, its gates will be opened, and its keepers will ask them, "Did messengers not come to you from among yourselves, reciting to you the revelations of your Lord and warning you of the coming of this day of yours?" The disbelievers will cry, "Yes, indeed, but the decree of torment has come to pass against the disbelievers." It will be said to them, "Enter the gates of hell to stay there forever. What an evil home for the arrogant." Reward of the righteous. And those who were mindful of their Lord will be led to paradise in successive groups. When they arrive at its already open gate, its keepers will say, "Peace be upon you. You have done well, so come in to stay forever." The righteous will say, "Praise be to Allah, who has fulfilled his promise to us and made us inherit the everlasting land, to settle in paradise wherever we please. How excellent is the reward of those who work righteousness."
I wonder where the thing came from to its already open wide gates. Maybe that's why the wow is being used. Both people are taken in groups to Jahannam and Jannah, but when it comes to Jannah, حتى إذا جاءوها وفتحت. But for Jahannam, it's حتى إذا جاء. What is it? حتى إذا جاءوها فتحت without the wow. Maybe because of that distinction they said. Okay, no, maybe it's because of the verb is used in majhul.
Yeah.
There's many.
But I have over here for the flow he translated as the gate shall be open. But in the Arabic it is past tense.
Yeah.
Is majhul, but it's past tense. للماضي وفتحت.
Sheikh Yusuf, would you like to? Okay, the surah is just finishing, so I'll finish it off, inshallah. Praising Allah's grace and justice. You will see the angels all around the throne, glorifying the praise of their Lord, for judgment will have been passed on all with fairness, and it will be said, "Praise be to Allah, Lord of all worlds."
Any other translation of hafin? Here it said, what does it say?
What?
All around the throne.
Encircling all around the throne.
What ayah is that?
75.
75.
I have, let me see. I have
hymning the praise of their Lord. So it says glorifying the praise of their Lord. Okay.
Oh, that was. Hold on, I see what happened.
The last verse of the surah, Sheikh Yusuf.
And you will see the angels circling around the throne, proclaiming the praise of their Lord, and it will be justly decided between them, and it will be said, "Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds."
Okay. Sheikh Yusuf, would you like to take over?
Sure, I'm being charged with the task.
Surah Ghafir.
May Allah allow us to gain forgiveness.
Amen.
The forgiver, Al-Ghafir. In essence, this Meccan surah emphasizes the main concepts highlighted both in the previous and following surah, namely Allah being infinite in mercy and severe in punishment. We just came from the Zumar, which gave us that glimpse of the hellfire, to be honest with you. So now, kind of there's a relief and humanity being either grateful or ungrateful to their Lord, along with the reward that ensues. All this is embodied in the story of Moses, verses or ayat 23 through 54, with Pharaoh as the ungrateful disbeliever and an unidentified man from Pharaoh's people as the grateful believer. The Prophet ﷺ is repeatedly advised to be patient, keeping in mind that Allah never lets his prophets down. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The Quran is from the Almighty. Hameen. The revelation of this book is from Allah, the Almighty, all-knowing, the forgiver of sin and the acceptor of repentance, the severe in punishment and infinite in bounty. So here Allah is named the Almighty, the all-knowing, the forgiver of sin, and the acceptor of repentance, the severe in punishment and infinite in bounty. There is no God worthy of worship except him. To him alone is the final return. Warning to the disbelievers. None disputes the signs of Allah except the disbelievers. So do not be deceived by their prosperity throughout the land. Before them, the people of Noah denied the truth, as did other enemy forces afterwards. Every community plotted against his prophet to seize him and argued in falsehood, hoping to discredit the truth with it. So I seized them, and how terrible was my punishment. And so your Lord's decree has been proven true against the disbelievers, that they will be the inmates of the fire. Angels pray for the believers. Those angels who carry the throne and those around it glorify the praises of their Lord, have faith in him, and seek forgiveness for the believers praying. Our Lord, you encompass everything in your mercy and knowledge. So forgive those who repent and follow your way, and protect them from the torment of the hellfire. Our Lord, admit them into the gardens of eternity, which you have promised them, along with the righteous among their parents, spouses, and descendants. You alone are truly the Almighty, all-wise, and protect them from the consequences of their evil deeds. For whoever you protect from the evil of their deeds, on that day will have been shown your mercy. That is truly the ultimate triumph. Ayat 7 through 9, really give us an understanding of the universe, because some people think that God is out to get them, so to speak. And so here you see that not only is Allah wa ta'ala all merciful and waiting for us to turn, so to speak, subhanahu wa ta'ala, but even the creation itself is in our support, in our aid. The inmates of hell. Indeed, it will be announced to the disbelievers, Allah's contempt for you as you disbelieve when invited to believe was far worse than your contempt for one another today. They will plead, our Lord, you made us lifeless twice and gave us life twice. Now we confess our sins. So is there any way out? They will be told, no. This is because when Allah alone was invoked, you staunchly disbelieved. But when others were associated with him in worship, you readily believed. So today, judgment belongs to you alone. So judgment belongs to Allah alone, the Most High, all great. So today, judgment belongs to Allah alone, the Most High, all great. Allah's might in both worlds. He is the one who shows you his signs and sends down rain as a provision for you from the sky. But none will be mindful except those who turn to him. So call upon Allah with sincere devotion, even to the dismay of the disbelievers. He is highly exalted in rank, Lord of the throne. He sends down the revelation by his command to whoever he wills of his servants, to warn all of the day of meeting. The day all will appear before Allah. Nothing about them will be hidden from him. He will ask, who does all authority belong to this day? To Allah, the One, the Supreme. Today, every soul will be rewarded for what it has done. No injustice today. Surely Allah is swift in reckoning. horrors of Judgment Day. Warn them, O Prophet, of the approaching day when the hearts will jump into the throat, suppressing distress. The wrongdoers will have neither a close friend nor intercessor to be heard. Allah even knows the sly glances of the eyes and whatever the hearts conceal. And Allah judges with the truth, while those idols they invoke besides Him cannot judge at all. Indeed, Allah alone is the all-hearing, all-seeing. Fate of the deniers.
Verse number 16, sorry. When Allah asks, to whom does the kingdom belong today? To whom is the rule this day? Apparently, it's such a scary scenario, because Allah is speaking, that no one dares to respond. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself will respond. Here, the hadith is there. Where are the kings? Who does all of them? I am the king, since no one will be there. Here it says, since no one will be there to answer, Allah will answer Himself. In another place I got, because no one else will be able to, or will be there to respond. Yeah. So either they're not there, but He responds. I once with Dr. Shabir Ahmed, he was explaining this verse here in Sydney. He's a very well-known scholar. He said his teachers were speaking about this verse being read in Taraweeh prayers. And in the first line, there was all scholars, like of his generation. So this would have been almost like a century ago. He said when the Imam was reciting this verse, يَوْمَ هُمْ بَارِزُونَ لَا يَخْفَى عَلَى اللَّهِ مِنْهُمْ شَيْءٍ. All the scholars just kept fainting as the Imam kept repeating this particular verse. The way he explained it, I remember one was just, they got affected by this verse in a very unique way. That like half the congregation was Imams, they were like fainting, coming back, fainting, due to the effect this verse had on them.
It builds up to that point as well, Ustaz Sadiq, like the previous verses too, I think. That hits a bit of a climax perhaps, but yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting also the way that Allah Ta'ala describes the disbelievers, the wrongdoers will have neither a close friend nor intercessor to be heard. And that's exactly how, there's like this vaccine operation with people of corruption on the earth. So it's like that system that they're used to is done with. It doesn't exist on that day. Fate of the deniers. Have they not traveled throughout the land to see what was the end of those destroyed before them? They were far superior in might and richer in monuments throughout the land. But Allah seized them for their sins. And they had no protector from Allah. That was because their messengers used to come to them with clear proofs, but they persisted in disbelief. So Allah seized them. Surely He is all-powerful, severe in punishment. He's all-powerful, severe in punishment. What is the clear signs was used? What's the Arabic there?
بالبينات.
Moses denied in Egypt. Indeed, we sent Moses with our signs and compelling proof to Pharaoh, Haman, and Korah. But they responded, magician, total liar. Then when he came to them with the truth from us, they said, kill the sons of those who believe with him and keep their women. But the plotting of the disbelievers was only in vain. And Pharaoh said, let me kill Moses and let him call upon his Lord. I truly fear that he may change your traditions or cause mischief in the land. Moses replied, I seek refuge in my Lord and your Lord from every arrogant person who does not believe in the day of reckoning. The believer's advice, do not persecute for belief. A believing man from Pharaoh's people who was hiding his faith argued, will you kill a man only for saying, my Lord is Allah, while he has in fact come to you with clear proofs from your Lord? If he is a liar, it will be to his own loss. But if he is truthful, then you will be afflicted with some of what he is threatening you with. Surely Allah does not guide whoever is a transgressor, a total liar. O my people,
Here,
authority.
sorry, Sheikh Yusuf, as we know, Sayyidina Abu Bakr only says the very same words. أتقتلون رجلا أن يقول ربي الله. Perhaps he was, this surah was revealed before him, but almost in the same situation. This speech of this secret believer of the people of Pharaoh, it's really amazing. He starts off with, he slowly eases them in. First he says, if he's truthful, if he's a liar, it's against him, but if he's truthful, you might have some of his punishment. And it's like it can really be analyzed for how to do effective da'wah. And
in what sense?
Just the way he eases the audience into it, takes them on a journey with him, and convinces them bit by bit. The arguments get stronger. He becomes more and more explicit about his faith, rationally appealing to them, emotionally, and fear and hope. No, I guess we have to read it. We can't stop and think, analyze it.
O my people, authority belongs to you today, reigning supreme in the land. But who would help us against the torment of Allah if it were to befall us? Pharaoh assured his people, I am telling you only what I believe, and I am leading you only to the way of guidance. Advice learned from history. And the man who believed cautioned, O my people, I truly fear for you the doom of earlier enemy forces, like the fate of the people of Noah, Ad, Thamud, and those after them. For Allah would never will to wrong his servants. O my people, I truly fear for you the day all will be crying out to each other. The day you will try in vain to turn your backs and run away, with no one to protect you from Allah. And whoever Allah leaves to stray will be left with no guide. Joseph already came to you earlier with clear proofs, yet you never ceased to doubt what he came to you with. When he died, you said, Allah will never send a messenger after him. This is how Allah leaves every transgressor and doubter to stray. Those who dispute Allah's signs with no proof given to them, how despicable is that for Allah and the disbelievers? This is how Allah seals the heart of every arrogant tyrant. Pharaoh's response. Pharaoh ordered, O Haman, build me a high tower so I may reach the pathways leading up to the heavens and look for the God of Moses, although I am sure he is a liar. And so Pharaoh's evil deeds were made so appealing to him that he was hindered from the right way. But the plotting of Pharaoh was only in vain. Advice, mend your ways. And the man who believed urged, O my people, follow me and I will lead you to the way of guidance. O my people, this worldly life is only a fleeting enjoyment, whereas the hereafter is truly the home of settlement. Whoever does an evil deed will only be paid back with its equivalent. And whoever does good, whether male or female, and is a believer, they will enter paradise, where they will be provided for without limit. O my people, how is it that I invite you to salvation while you invite me to the fire? You invite me to disbelieve in Allah and associate with him what I have no knowledge of, while I invite you to the Almighty, most forgiving. There's no doubt that whatever idols you invite me to worship are not worthy to be invoked either in this world or the hereafter. Undoubtedly, our return is to Allah, and the transgressors will be the inmates of the fire. You will remember what I say to you, and I entrust my affairs to Allah. Surely Allah is all-seeing of all his sins. Allah's response. So Allah protected him from the evil of their schemes, and Pharaoh's people were overwhelmed by an evil punishment. They are exposed to the fire in their graves morning and evening. And on the day the hour will be established, it will be said, admit Pharaoh's people into the harshest punishment of hell. Disputes among hell's inmates.
Just as Mustafa Khattab Sheikh alludes in their graves, this verse is often used by people to prove the punishment of the grave. And the argument is this, that the night fire is presented to them morning and evening. And then after that it says, وَيَوْمَ تَقُومُ السَّاعَةُ, as for the final, when the hour is resurrected, enter, put Pharaoh into the hellfire. Admit Pharaoh's people into the heart. So it's the first one, the fire being presented to them. It's different than going into the hellfire. And it's before the establishment of the Sa. So some have argued that this is one of the Quranic proofs for the punishment in the grave. That believing person, apparently, according to some narrations, he even ruled Egypt. I have here in my notes, but I don't know the details.
Disputes among hell's inmates. Consider the day when they will dispute in the fire, and the lowly followers will appeal to the arrogant leaders. We were your dedicated followers. Will you then shield us from a portion of the fire? The arrogant will say, we are all in it, for Allah has already passed judgment over his servants. I did a couple of khutbahs on this, but it's interesting how, again, the whole system of corruption is made clear, how it is that people tie themselves to these corrupt leaders of disbelief, and they pin all their hopes on these leaders, and then at the end, this whole system is turned upside down from the angle of, well, that's not going to help you before Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. It's a different level of accountability. That may have worked for you in the dunya, but it opened you up to the hellfire. Appeals from hell, and those in the fire will cry out to the keepers of hell, pray to your Lord to lighten the torment for us, even for one day. The keepers will reply, did your messengers not constantly come to you with clear proofs? They will say, yes, they did. The keepers will say, then pray, though the prayer of the disbelievers is only in vain. Allah's help for the believers. We certainly help our messengers and the believers, both in this worldly life and on the day the witnesses will stand forth for testimony. Here goes that idea again that God doesn't wish bad for people. God wills good for people. The day the wrongdoer's excuse will be of no benefit to them. They will be condemned and will have the worst outcome. Reassuring the Prophet. And indeed we gave Moses the true guidance and made the children of Israel inherit the scripture, a guide and a reminder to the people of reason. So be patient, O Prophet, for Allah's promise is certainly true. Seek forgiveness for your shortcomings and glorify the praises of your Lord morning and evening. Surely those who dispute Allah's signs with no proof given to them have nothing in their hearts but greed for dominance, which they never attain. What does the Arabic say there?
In fi sudurihim illa kibrun ma hum bibalighi. Here Sheikh Nu says, they have nothing in their breasts but haughty pride that they will never vindicate. What does the footnote say, Ustaz Ahmed?
Just talking about the slips of prophets in general, the dhallas. The Prophet was infallible in sin. So it asked the Prophet to seek forgiveness.
Okay. وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لِذَنْبِكَ. No.
Yeah. What I think, like when we are reading the translation, especially, to me, what occurs to me is it's also important to have a foundational understanding of the religion and Aqidah and its principles. Obviously, those things are developed over time through studies. then you can put what you read within context a bit easier and grounded on the foundation and knowledge. So once a person reads, it says, seek forgiveness for your shortcomings, we should more or less think, okay, the Prophet ﷺ is infallible, he's a prophet, and so this must be referring to a dhalla or a sleep. So, yeah. We have about
advantage of reading Kalam books. That's the advantage of reading Aqidah books. We don't get stuck on one verse and let that interpretation go take us too far away.
Yeah, which we see, like, I think with some of us, we could get stuck with a concept or a verse or a hadith, and we just can't move beyond. Yeah. Sorry, Sheikh Yusuf. We have a few more minutes. Maybe we could do another page or two, inshallah.
Greater creation. The creation of the heavens and the earth is certainly greater than the recreation of humankind, but most people do not know. Parable, belief and disbelief. Those blind to the truth and those who can see are not equal, nor are those who believe and do good equal to those who do evil. Yet you are hardly mindful. The hour is certainly coming. There is no doubt about it, but most people do not believe. Allah answers prayers. Your Lord has proclaimed, call upon me, I will respond to you. Surely those who are too proud to worship me will enter hell fully humbled. Allah is merciful to his creation. It is Allah who has made the night for you to rest in and the day bright. Surely Allah is ever bountiful to humanity, but most people are ungrateful. That is Allah, your Lord, the creator of all things. There is no God worthy of worship except him. How can you then be deluded from the truth? This is how those who used to reject Allah's signs were also deluded. Allah provides for all. It is Allah who made the earth a place of settlement for you and the sky a canopy. He shaped you in the womb, perfecting your form, and he has provided you with what is good and lawful. That is Allah, your Lord. So blessed is Allah, Lord of all worlds. He is the ever-living. There is no God worthy of worship except him. So call upon him with sincere devotion, saying all praise is for Allah, Lord of all worlds. Allah has power over life and death. Say, O Prophet, I have been forbidden to worship those idols you worship besides Allah, since clear proofs have come to me from my Lord, and I have been commanded to fully submit to the Lord of all worlds. He is the one who created you from dust and from a sperm drop, then developed you into a clinging clot of blood. Then he brings you forth as infants, so that you may reach your prime and become old, though some of you may die sooner, reaching an appointed time, so perhaps you may understand Allah's power. He is the one who gives life and causes death. When he decrees a matter, he simply tells it be, and it is. Punishment of the deniers. Have you not seen how those who dispute Allah's signs are turned away?
Sorry, Sheikh Yusuf. Verse 65 doesn't come too often in this format. هو الحي لا إله إلا هو. He is the living one. There is no God worth to worship him except him. And then this Hayy is mentioned again in 68. هو الذي يحيي ويميت. يحيي ويميت. Just highlighting the Ism Hayy. I'm not making any point. I'm not saying something specific.
Sheikh Yusuf, we could finish with this part, inshallah, punishment of the deniers, and then we'll stop there.
Why don't we just finish the rest of the surah?
It's 7:45 here. How many pages is the Sheikh Yusuf? One. Okay, we have. All right, let's go for it, inshallah. Let's finish it off.
Punishment of the deniers. Have you not seen how those who dispute Allah's signs are turned away? They are the ones who reject this book and all scriptures we sent our messengers with. So they will know the consequences when shackles will be around their necks and chains on their legs. They will be dragged through boiling water, then burned in the fire as fuel. Then they will be asked, where are those idols you used to associate with Allah? They will cry, they have all failed us. In fact, we did not invoke anything real before. This is how Allah leaves the disbelievers to stray. They will be told this punishment is for being prideful on earth unjustly and for acting arrogantly. Enter the gates of hell to stay there forever. What an evil home for the arrogant. Advice to the Prophet. So be patient, O Prophet. Surely Allah's promise is true. Whether we show you some of what we threatened them with or cause you to die before that, to us they will all be returned. We already sent messengers before you. We have told you the stories of some of them, while others we have not. It was not for any messenger to bring a sign without Allah's permission. But when Allah's decree comes, judgment will be passed with fairness, and the people of falsehood will then be in total loss. Some of Allah's favors. It is for Allah. It is Allah who made the cattle for you, so that you may ride some and eat others. Also, you find in them other benefits, and by means of them you may reach destinations you desire, and you are carried upon some of them and upon ships. And He shows you His signs. Now, which of Allah's signs will you deny? More warning to the deniers. Have they not traveled throughout the land to see what was the end of those who were destroyed before them? They were far superior in might and richer in monuments throughout the land. This comes back again. But their worldly gains were of no benefit to them. When their messengers came to them with clear proof, they were prideful in whatever worldly knowledge they had, and were ultimately overwhelmed by what they used to ridicule. When they saw our punishment, they cried, now we believe in Allah alone and reject what we have been associating with Him. But their faith was of no benefit to them when they saw our torment. This has always been Allah's way of dealing with His wicked servants. Then and there the disbelievers were in total loss.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Yusuf. We pushed here a bit towards the end, inshallah. Okay, so we'll stop there and we'll continue, inshallah, from Surah Fussilat tomorrow. Okay, Assalamu alaikum everyone.